Harvestella is a JRPG published by Square Enix, which combines RPG elements with farming sim elements. Most people expected Stardew Valley mixed with Final Fantasy. I think it succeeded more than it failed in the former part, while the opposite is true for the latter. And this video serves as proof and a review for that. For that reason I structured this video by explaining the farming sim part, then a huge complaint about the marketing structure of this game. After that I will discuss the story and give my conclusion. I will compare this to Stardew Valley, and there are probably people that have not played it, so I'm linking Joseph Anderson's video in the description. In Harvestella you have a farm, hi-hi-hi-ho. You can expand the farm area with money at a shop. And initially the farming area has stones on it, those you can remove with a tool. Then you can plow the earth, plant seeds, water the seeds every day, and then you can harvest. You can sell the harvest and buy more seeds at stores in the world. You can also process most farm produce, which sometimes, but more often not, will result in more profit. When playing through the story you will get special farm areas you don't need to water, where you can plant special seeds for that zone. This may sound interesting, but in essence it's just another farm area. You can also craft with resources you find and also cook, which restores health you need for the combat part. The bigger the farm area gets, the more time you need to spend watering and plowing. To counteract this, you can upgrade the tools needed for that, which increases the area you plow, water and harvest with each level. This is almost exactly like Stardew Valley does it. You buy seeds, make money, buy more seeds, make more money, buy more expensive seeds and you get the most money. Then you start automating by watering with sprinklers and get more time. There are also people in the world you can hang out with, like Stardew Valley. And I have to say this part is very fun. Progression loops are my kryptonite and I usually enjoy them, but for a review I have to look at this as objective as possible and have to say this is nothing new. Stardew Valley and Harvest Moon already did that, and Harvestella does nothing of significance different to those titles. This leaves the story, but first I want to state one big problem of this game, which is its price. The release price of this game is €60 in my country, the same category as AAA titles, like Elden Ring or God of War. Price is a problem beyond monetary restrictions, and I want to show this because there are probably people watching that don't care about the price. But you should, because a price has more functions than what you might think. In economy, price has, among others, two additional functions: the signaling function and the incentive function. The signaling function describes information given to the consumer, surpluses and scarcities often in neoclassical economy, but that's practically non-existent with digital goods. More important for our discussion is quality signaling. Every person that shops will have used this function. A price signals its quality. For example, you stand at an aisle full of duck soup. There are dozens and you have no idea which to pick. Your wife, your husband, your mother or your boss send you to pick high quality soup. There is duck soup for $1 and there is duck soup for up to $10. Most people will attribute high quality to the highest price. The $10 duck soup will appear to have the highest quality. This comes from two phenomena. First, humans like to explain stuff, so if they wonder why something is so much more expensive, they will think it's justified with a higher price, even though there are exceptions. Secondly, you were trained to do this, because the high quality products you know of are statistically more expensive. A $60 game should have a higher quality than a $10 or $20 one. If this function breaks, you cannot determine the quality by its price. This alone is maybe not that important. You can get reviews like these to see the quality. But this is where the incentive function comes in and screws us up. When you buy something for a specific price, you are also giving information to the seller, in this case the publisher. If you buy this for $60, you show that you think that this game is worth $60. If I sell you garbage for $60 and you are happy to buy this, then what you get is more garbage. because other publishers will notice. There will be more games for this price with this amount of quality. Just like there were more overpriced DLCs when Bethesda proved with Oblivion that people buy horse armor for $4.99. Even worse, you might see a drop in quality in games you like. Let's say you are the publisher of God of War. Publishers in the current industry hold a lot of artistic power over the end product. And they mostly care about money. This is not evil by itself. Most publishers are stock businesses and they have to please investors, which you may be part of, because many consumers have bank accounts that invest in stocks for a higher return instead of regular accounts. So a publisher pays for a game with high voice acting, good motion captures, animations, bug testing, graphics, story writing, etc. Then Harvestella comes along and sells a game for the same price and has none of this. Probably didn't even cost half of what the publisher paid. So what do you think other publishers will do? Increasing the price would be one option. Although in stable price industries it's not a good idea to have different prices. That's why you see the same prices everywhere, like $59.99 and not $58.99 or $61.99. So the remaining option is reducing your costs. Input-output balance. People pay $60 for no voice acting, remove God of War's voice acting. People don't care about motion capture, remove motion capture, that just costs money. This is the reason why you should care about the price. Harvestella is a much more better game at a third of its current price. I place this big section and criticism because I want you to remember that this game costs €60 or dollars, it's almost the same. When we go through the atrocious story that has no voice acting and stock animations, I want you to remember that. BAM! When it comes to JRPGs, I find the same MO very often. Very interesting setting and world building, and then atrocious character motivation, non-existent logical conclusions and contradictions. These flaws are often so big that they damage the former parts. You start with choosing your character between male, female and non-binary. Sadly, this is not a sign of inclusiveness because it does not matter. You can have all character models you want, no matter what you choose. And it has zero impact on anything in-game. This is ignorance, disguised as inclusiveness. The lesson of having different genders is not that it doesn't matter, but that while there are differences in society and personal life, it does not influence your worth as a human being. Your gender will have impact on your life, but your manners, your intelligence, your education and your kindness are far, far more important factors for you as a human. BAM! Okay, then you have some vision of a floating little girl that spouts cryptic nonsense, seemingly intended to piss me off specifically. If you want to warn someone, don't do it in a way no one understands. If you want to give someone information, don't do it cryptically. It's being mysterious for the sake of being mysterious. The local doctor finds you out of the village with no memory. You were out during Quietus, which signals the change of season and kills people outside, but not you. The doctor reminds you about that, thinking you are a person from maybe a different city. Then the sea slide, which is the glowing flower, acts up and loses a pedal, and everyone rushes to it. It turns out this pedal has an interior, with an armored person inside. It's a girl named Aria, and oh boy, is she stupid. When Aria wakes up, she talks to the town villagers, and she asks about the calendar they use. She does not know it, but references the Gregorian calendar, which signals for the player she is presumably someone from our world and time. She then concludes that because she saw 5 people and a bit of landside, that she must have time traveled. Let's say you wake up in a rural town in China and you ask which calendar they use, and they say they use the Yin calendar. Would you think you time traveled? I just now googled which calendar China uses, and I would have not known this. To be fair, Aria's old world has been mostly destroyed, but there are better solutions than bending physics. Speaking of Aria, she is a scientist, and of course 17 and never hold a boy's hand. Okay, the last part was on me, but she fits all the cliches that makes your eye roll 360 degrees. BAM! In JRPGs, all young people that could be love interests are always virgins and never had boyfriends. It's always the same, and so utterly conflicting with real life. After a short amount of time, Aria travels to the sea slide, which she calls Red Queen, because she wants to find a way home. Okay, first of all, why would you not go back where you were found? How do you think you could time travel back? You are a scientist, what's the damn plan? Not only that, Arya is from a world where a similar organism killed most people with spores. That is why she has that protective suit. So she goes alone in a forest full of monsters to a giant flower that, according to her knowledge, spreads poisonous spores that kills people. Just genius story writing, 10 out of 10, $60 justified. Would have paid 500. This is what I meant with character motivation and logic. It makes no sense. She did not even explore other options. Scientists, ladies and gentlemen. We follow her, of course, and find, coincidental and very conveniently, an omen. They are some kind of androids, and the name of the current one is the Antis. It's a nice machine that decides to help us after we save it, because it also wants to get to the sea slide. Unbelievable! Right on time when we also want it. Man, what a coincidence. By the way, you can also instead farm for a few years before saving her. The farming sim part undermines any story urgency, and that's why a story similar to Stardew Valley is more fitting. But Japanese writers have so little writing ability that you always have to save the world and kill a god, or they cannot get your attention. We also meet a unicorn which is named Unicorn and absolutely unimportant to the overall story. It searches for the princess in the forest, and it just arrived. Just like us. Just like the Antis. Man, what a coincidence. Oh yeah, by the way, I cannot let characters speak for themselves because there is no voice acting. €60. You can also say different things during the story, but all will have the same result. No branching dialogue or story. €60. We find another omen that wants to kidnap Arya. Luckily for us, it also just arrived. Like us. Like the Anthus. Like Unicorn. Man, what a coincidence. So we fight over Arya and save her. The omen mentions another omen named Geist, and they did something to the sea slide. When we get home, a fairy has appeared that helps us farm. Just accept it as it is. You don't get any explanation that is satisfying. The fairies actually have a purpose, but it isn't explained why she came to the protagonist, and neither how it did find him. I play as male. It is simply there and starts helping you farm. It asks you to investigate the other sea slide. There are 4 in total. When you arrive in town, there are recruitable characters, 1 from each town, all at the same time, arriving just now, just like us. Man, what a coincidence. Of course they never come again. We first go to the town of the Spring Sea Slide. We can make Asil here part of our crew. He's some sort of guardian for the town. He has an adopted sister named TL, because Asil is a potential love interest. And Japanese video game characters all have to be single, they cannot have a love interest themselves, and she will die in the storyline. Bam! This is, by the way, a pretty good rule in most JRPGs. If there is a single character related to a love interest that is neither married or ugly, he or she will die, or turn out to be evil. In the spring town, young girls have been kidnapped for a while. We want to rescue them and try to travel to the sea slide, but a strong monster blocks our way. So we meet the Shadow Assassin, a female that works in the orphanage. I notice her gender because, like the rest of the story, the character placement is done like a cardbox cutout. Each town has 2 recruitable characters, 1 of each gender. Man, what a coincidence. In the meantime, TL gets abducted and we meet her at the end. She's some sort of AI who has to govern the machines, and she wants us to kill her, so the Springtown can be peaceful again. And this is all there is to Asil's recruitment story. The AI and futuristic buildings are intriguing, but they don't matter. After we leave, Geist arrives and holds a Shakespearean monologue for itself, for no reason. Our next place is Summertown. A local bar girl gets exploited by a greedy merchant. If you think it's very cliché, then that's because it is. The merchant loses very conveniently a letter where he details his whole plan to sell the girl, which we meet just as we arrive, and the merchant just decided to sell her when we come to town. Man, what a coincidence. Bam! When we want to help the girl, she signals us that she can't communicate with people because she lost her pearl. That helps her talk. She can read the letter the merchant left behind. She can read and write. You know she can write. The girl is named Emo, and by the way, very sad. She is some kind of descendant from a fairy, and our own fairy helps us translate, because that's easier than writing. Emo wants to get to the sea slide, which the merchant promised her in return for her singing. He lied, of course, but we decide to take her with us. Luckily for us, there's another character named Heine who just finished his submarine, just shortly before we arrived. Just right before Emo gets to be sold off, right on time when the sea slide is acting up. Man, what a coincidence. We go to the sea slide, defeat the boss, find the pearl and everything's fine. Our next goal is the Winter City, where our religion, worshipping the sea slide, is located. Shrika, a girl, is part of that church, and there has been a change in the religion in recent years. They all want a specific flower. Braka, the other recruitable party member, tells us there's something more sinister going on. To get proof, we go into a holy cave, which is not Shrika, but we get caught and jailed. Then we escape and everyone is gone. The main priest betrayed everyone and wants to eat them, because he's some kind of shapeshifter monster thingy. First of all, a religion betraying its people. Wow, original. Secondly, it does not work as a mystery, because it's not really developed. You don't get time to meet the characters and find out more, this just happens. But at least we are lucky that we arrived just in time when the priest decides to set his plan in motion, and we also arrive just in time before he eats everyone. Man, what a coincidence. We beat the priest and Braka gets his revenge. Because the story doesn't go anywhere, Geist comes to our home and kidnaps Aria. Yeah, just like that. There are, by the way, no animations or something. You sleep on top of your bed because having an animation where someone sleeps under a blanket would be at least $120. We follow Aria because Geist conveniently left a rope hanging for us. We fight him and fall from the airship. We fall from around 5 times the height of the Golden Gate Bridge, and we are just fine. There's also no fall animation. The character, if you look closely, just remains in his pose and spins around 30 degrees. We need to find out more about Geist, so we go into the headquarters of the Omens, which is the castle pretty much in the center of the map. Dianthus is here, and what it reveals is pretty interesting. This world was created for humans. They used mythological creatures like unicorns or fairies and a king with a castle to keep people in check. The Omens are highly advanced and guide the humans of the world. Geist dropped off Aria in the castle, and then another Omen saved her, so we meet up with Aria. Geist tells Aria that he has a different plan than the Omens. He says the sea slide controls the environment and by destroying them the world will get destroyed, which does not really make sense. There also seemed to be a translation error. He calls the world a star. A star consists mostly of plasma and is usually the largest object in the solar system. In our case it would be the sun. This error happens at a big reveal of the antagonist. Remember, $60. Aria declines, of course, and Geist is too stupid to reveal his real reason for doing this. While we are at the Omen's base, Omens are machines, like computers. If you have two computers communicate with each other, what would be the most simple and most effective method? I'm asking because they talk to each other like humans, orally. They are capable of connecting to each other and have something like a shared will, which Geist broke off from. Something that is actually a good detail is that the Omens call the humans of this world Abels, but only Aria a human. Geist tries to invade the castle's core room, so we move to stop him. We find him, but his ship blasts a hole into the castle, which he hops onto. There is no real explosion or animation, the screen just turns white and then there is a hole. Not even smoke or anything. $60. We beat him and the current crisis is averted. But we haven't beaten a god yet, so of course there's more. We try to use Geist's memory ship and use the transport pod Aria arrived in to travel to her original world. Here we learn what happened. In the future of mankind, a new type of life form appeared, called the Red Queen. She spread spores around the globe, which nearly kills everyone on Earth. Few survivors try to fight the Red Queen, and Aria, during a research mission, went missing. With everything failing, they moved on to a different plan. They created the Omens and called them Seth. As machines, they are naturally immune against the spores and tasked them finding a solution. They traveled to a different planet and used cells from the organism that killed the old Earth to control the environment, to create another habitable planet. It still does not explain why the environment would just collapse if they remove the sea slide. Stuff like wind, tides, water, everything is based on physics. It just doesn't make sense. Geist joins us. He had a backup that now has a different personality. After this reveal, we go back to the castle, where we take a space elevator to a station on the orbit. The omens up there don't agree to this notion and stop it halfway, so we have to fight our way through. Because for some reasons there are monsters. It also has air and gravity on places it would not be necessary. Omens are machines, so it just wasted energy, keeping it that way. There's also a 5th sea slide that has not yet launched, because Crisis happened. Crisis is essentially the spores that killed the old Earth, and the omens are surprised that the same happens on this planet after they took and cloned the cells of the original. Because it seems Crisis will again kill everything, the omens have to act. Geist I wanted a hard reset, destroy everything and start from scratch, which is a very technical approach that does make sense. Anyway, we proceed to the biggest reveal. Aria's parents and a lot of old world humans are still alive. Well, in stasis, but they exist. Bam! The plan was for the planet to finish and then reintroduce humans, but humans evolved on the new planet. The sea slides they used tried to imitate the old world for whatever reason. That's why even old world buildings were beginning to appear. The new humans were called Able, because they have a minor difference in their genetic code, but nothing noteworthy. This splitted the omens, because half of them thought that Ables are humans and the original directive extends to them, while the other half thought only the original humans are within their orders. Right now the planet cannot support both groups in resources. Both groups are about equal. I want to remind you that the farming methods you and everyone on the planet uses is doing it per hand. No advanced chemistry, no machines. If we, on our Earth, would return to this old method, we could not even support 1 billion people, not to speak of several billion. What I want to say is, why not improve the farming method and increase the resources available? Okay, the next problem, which is only a problem if the writer is stupid, is that the old humans in stasis are dying. You cannot be in stasis for a very long time and they are already in there for 2000 years. They are in stasis for 2000 years and it just happens that right on time, when they were about to expire, we happened to come to the planet. Man, what a coincidence. Geist has a plan against the spores. He wants to build a safe biosphere with enough space for the humans to live, but only one of the two populations would fit in there. This is the second problem. So he wants Aria to decide who should be sacrificed. She will agree to that and not use the very simple solution of unfreezing all humans and freeze all Ables, because now they have 2000 years again, before the Ables will deteriorate, to find a solution or make another planet habitable. Not only that, the space station where the humans currently are in stasis is gigantic. It has gravity, it has warmth, it has sunlight and it has air. You could fit the frozen humans in there. They are already there and only take up a single room. You could make the argument there would not be enough food, but they can expand or duplicate the space station. We are talking about a category 2 civilization that are able to traverse space. There's an abundance of resources, even just in our own solar system. For example, how much iron do you think our solar system has? It's this number. That's a 6 with 59 more numbers after it, not decimal spaces, in tons. Roughly 1.17% of all matter in the universe is iron. You can build planets from it. They could easily space mine resources and expand a space station that has all necessary facilities and technologies for human life. But no, that amount of thinking would have required $180 for the game. We beat Aria, who joins with Geist, and then Geist tells us to decide. It seems that is decided by combat. Honest to God, if an AI that has been dealing for decades with this problem would tell you there are only two solutions, what would you decide? You have no scientific insight, you have no scientific background, you don't know anything about the subject. What our character does, and what's the correct answer, is F you AI, we will overcome this with the power of friendship. This is like Zelensky saying he does not need weapons from the West because he will beat Russia with the power of friendship. It is bizarre. We dropped the 5th sea slide and investigated. It seems before the old Earth were destroyed, they tried to control the Red Queen by using a girl, the one we saw at the start. I really wish I could play what the characters are saying because it's so much pseudo-science bullshit. It's ridiculous. Like planets are organs of the universe. It is so much nonsense. It's esoteric. Oh my god. The girl which appears is from the old Earth. And when the cells recreated old Earth, they also recreated the girl. The new one will probably kill all humans just because, and we need to stop this human-made god. Which we do at the end. Yeah, really, that's it. They just start spouting more nonsense in the end, like the collective consciousness and more pseudoscience. I appear probably more sour on this game than I am. The story is really bad and makes no sense. There are also easy solutions for problems the characters don't think about. Any story that requires coincidence and ignorant characters is without doubt flawed and rotten. It says much more about the writers than anything. A good test for a story is if you remove all coincidence and all characters act rationally and intelligent, will this story still work? Harvestella does not pass this test. The story got actually to this point, beyond atrocious, that it became a comedy. I literally laughed at the stupid soup of barely researched ideas taken from other games and media. In that sense, the last chapters were even the best because it was over the top ridiculous. The best part of this game is the farming sim, and that is a rip-off from Stardew Valley with almost no alteration. The price is just the tip of the iceberg. I have said it and I'm not tired of saying it. If you have AAA price, you need to have the same quality. This bastard which is half rip-off and half zero quality story does on no instance justify the price. They could not even have a different walking animations for the different characters. Everyone walks the same, using the same rhythm, have the arms in the same position. I did not speak about the combat, because there's nothing to speak about. You run to the enemy and hit them until they are dead, and eat something if your health gets low. I think I end this with the words of Guybrush Threepwood.
Never pay more than $20 for a computer game.
A what?
Farewell.